Hello, this is Professor MCal here. Thank you for tuning in again. Really appreciate that. We've had some new subscribers lately. That's fantastic. And we've also had some excellent conversation on my last video, which was about Baal, or Baal, god of fertility and storms. It seems that people have been enjoying some of the talks about the ancient gods and goddesses. I'm going to continue with that theme this evening. This is Isis, cult of the fertility goddess. Also want to give a shout out to my very good friend and esteemed colleague and engineer, Mookie at Mookie's Tarot Zone. Check him out. It's MOOKIE, Tarot Zone, YouTube. You will like it. Okay. So thanks for tuning in. We're going to talk today about Isis, fertility cults in the ancient world, and we're gonna break down some of the magical aspects of Isis, esoteric symbolism, things like that. We're going to talk about some etymology and phonetics as well, philology, the study of linguistics, a little bit as it ties into this theme. We're going to focus on Isis, but we're also going to touch on some other fertility goddesses as well. Ishtar is one of those. Babylonian goddess of fertility. Isis, of course, Egyptian version. Ashera as well. There's many different cultures coming out of the ancient world, and cultures today as well, that all have their version of this goddess of fertility. Some of it's pagan, some of it is now monotheistic, but it's all got a dose of this stuff going on for sure. Okay, so who is Isis? Isis is an ancient fertility goddess. Many of you know this already. She's mostly worshipped in ancient Egypt or Egyptus. She's known in ancient Egypt as the primary goddess, but she's, as I said, been worshipped across ancient cultures, and is in fact still worshipped today. Isis is. We're going to talk about some philological information about the word Isis, where it comes from, and how it's also really a magical word as well. It is a palindrome. Isis is a deity, is essentially a pagan fertility goddess. The word and concept, as I said, is deeply embedded in language, culture, and thought. So I made this slide here, and I hope you guys get something out of this one. I'd like to get into this topic a little more, linguistics. So the root word is, it's a word that we use every day. It comes from Isis. Just as the comes from the Greek theos. So the comes from theos, is comes from Isis. Okay. Anything that has the is in it, or the sis, is a derivative of feminine fertility or water elements as well, as water is a feminine element. Anybody that's into occult or witchcraft, whatever it may be, as anything esoteric like that, we'll know that for sure. So the word thesis is this and is together. Thesis means this is, right? This is. Okay, and the word Isis is actually in thesis, Isis, Isis. This is in Ishtar, East Star, right? It's a fundamentally descriptive word. Isis, as we'll see, is spread throughout our language even further. We're talking about the feminine element now, fertility element, components of Isis. As I mentioned, occult scholars will describe the element of water as a feminine element. It actually has the word her in it, right? So this word is synonymous with water, feminine words, and elements. You have a sister, feminine. When you go to get water, you go to a cistern, right? I also think it's pretty interesting that the word cis, which I would describe as a modern derogatory term for a heterosexual, is a cis also has this component of ISIS in it. Many of you are probably also thinking, or can't help but think about the creation basically of the Obama era administration. It's called ISIS. It's called ISIS for a reason. It's called ISIS for a reason. I remember sitting in, and this was quite a while ago. Now, like when ISIS was really in full swing, I think it was in 2015, maybe 2014, somewhere in there, maybe 2010 to 15, somewhere in there. And it just seemed to me like it was created to perpetuate war and also to commit autonomous human sacrifice as well. I've talked about that subject a lot. Human sacrifice. I did a human sacrifice in the ancient world presentation. I've kind of mentioned about doing one in the modern world, and I probably should as well. And I think that the ISIS caliphate, and it was a caliphate, it was a full-blown, Islamic civilization, government territory, certainly not recognized or legitimized at all, and not very powerful, of course, but nonetheless, I think that organization was kind of created for those two nefarious purposes: perpetuation of war, making money, of course, military-industrial complex, and the ability to commit autonomous human sacrifice. We've seen, I can't help but mention, since the elite people that have been back in office, the ones that well, maybe not, I wouldn't say that they're in office. I'd say that they're definitely in control of the situation here in the United States. Again, we've seen nothing but carnage since the beginning of it. There's been nothing but massive gun violence, war, the Israel-Palestine conflict, which was milked as a, which also, came at the end of Ramadan, and I think started around like the right phase of the moon with the bullhorns, of course. And, that is the program here. That is the program that is currently going on. It is the ancient goddess worship based around phases of the moon, femininity. It seems to me that, the occult elite, they seem to favor, in my opinion, this goddess or other versions of this ancient one. Linguistics continued. ISIS is also tied into our monetary system. Anything with MON is derivative from Latin. I believe, if I'm incorrect about this, you can point that out for me. That would help me. And it's related to the moon, i.e. the month, or monotheism. Also, money, or money. We're going to see a little bit more about that, talk a little bit more about that. Sol is derivative or indicative of the sun, SOL, Latin-based, I guess, again. Let's see. The moon's also responsible, as we know it, for the ebb and flow of the tides and affects menstrual cycles. So, Isis is the feminine goddess that governs water. I guess this presentation here is more of a, set of things that I know about this goddess, and some of the stuff you might know, you might not know already, but just putting the pieces kind of together with the language, I think it's a big part of how this stuff works. I guess I'm thinking of kind of in a magical sense here. Words really construct reality. Words, thoughts, first, you have thoughts, and thoughts are staged, and then you bring those into reality using words or actions, and I suppose that's how the magic works, is thinking of something and then doing it immediately and bringing it to existence immediately. That's a little off topic, but I think that's all right. Just a little bit more. This is all feminine elements coming together. Babies come out of the birth canal, and on either side of a literal canal is what? It's a bank. You go to the bank to get currency, right, or liquid assets. Even the anchoring and the docking of a ship is known as berthing. ship. Okay, money is inextricably linked to ISIS through symbolism. I will say that if you haven't already, you should certainly, I would recommend to anybody that is interested in this information to look into Jordan Maxwell, if you haven't already. Jordan's been around for a long time, and he's got a lot of tremendous research on this stuff that explains it much more in depth. Many of you probably already know who he is. I think he's just somebody that you run into naturally if you're interested in this kind of stuff. Excuse me. And if you haven't already, I would go ahead and get on it. I would check out Jordan Maxwell. There's a symbol of ISIS. We're talking about its relationship to money. It actually says ISIS in a symbolic form, as you can see. Very interesting stuff. Now, I'd love to hear your thoughts and comments on this stuff. Here's another, just a couple of fun things that kind of highlight here. You have the goddess. Everybody, I think a lot of people are familiar with this kind of image of Isis with the wings outspread, etc. This one here is forming, what is the holiest of holies right here. I think it's pretty clear that it's very vaginal, right? It's also a circle in the square as well. A lot of serious esoteric symbolism going on here because, as we've talked about, we have the Saturnian relic of the Kaaba, which I've talked about quite a bit, which we know is tied to Saturn, but there's also a Venusian or a moon aspect. When I say Venusian, I'm talking about Venus, but there's also a moon goddess worship aspect going on because there is the cornerstone, and the cornerstone of the Kaaba it's called the black stone. The black stone is encased in what looks like a female genitalia on the corner of the Kaaba. You can go look that up, Google that up if you want. So there's that symbolism there, and then there's the holiest of holies there, which Solomon's temple itself, I think, is actually just another allegory for the holiest of holies, which is the sex, the sexual energy, man and a woman, procreation, etc. You can also see this same kind of symbolism on things like basketball courts, for example. Take a good look underneath the goal on a basketball court. Take a good look underneath the basket, and you will come to find that it is the male entering the female, and then you play the ball or bail. Again, fertility, ball, right? And you have to put the ball in the basket. You got to score. You got to score. So, I don't know, things like that come to mind as well. This symbolism is really not just, there's some finesse and magic to it going on, like within our society and our language. But I also want to mention that this stuff is so deeply embedded in human language and communication that it's hard to the reality is, if reality is constructed out of action and language, thought and then language, then it really affects, this stuff really affects the aspect of created reality. When you have words that are based on these energies or different symbols, they hold a lot of power. Even words like is and the that I was talking about earlier. Tremendous power. Some of this stuff sounds crazy to you. Maybe this one, will continue. So here's the Looney Tunes logo, of course. It is the holiest of holies. This is the inside of the female anatomy. Luna, it's a goddess, another goddess of the moon. Luna, or name for the moon. Luna, lunar, right? Looney Tunes. This is the inside of the female anatomy. Again, circling the square. There's a circle inside the square. Again. Or, what else is very interesting is that the Looney Tunes logo, it looks almost like a black sun, doesn't it? Or it could be Saturn from a bird's eye view as well. So if that sounds crazy to you, I don't think it's that crazy. I think that we all have some kind of understanding of how the magic works. If, we're all talking together on this channel, people are coming to this channel. I've got a lot of interesting comments recently from people all over the spectrum, though. People of different religions, faiths, and I really appreciate everybody coming out and talking and stuff, and people have remained so respectful as well, which is terrific, because I want this channel to remain a place, where you can go and be honest and say the things that you want, and that you will be respected. So I think we've been providing that here from one another pretty well. I appreciate that. So we'll talk about Ishtar now a little bit. Ishtar is the Babylonian version of Isis. Same rules of feminine divine energy apply here. Ishtar is the fertility goddess of Ishtar or Easter, festival of the reborn sun. Excuse me. See what I did there with sun? On Easter, of course, we sent our children to the Ishtar bunny because in Rome, rabbits are a symbol of fertility. And I think I've said this before, but rabbits are always, humping each other, humping the shit out of each other a mile a minute. So they're a symbol of fertility. We then send out our young to gather the fertilized eggs, the fallopian eggs. I think in Greece and Rome, they're actually exclusively red. So here's a little example of, how old this stuff is here. This is the Babylonian Ishtar Gate, built by King Nebuchadnezzar, I believe, in 535 BC. I could be wrong about that date, actually. You might want to go ahead and check me on that date, but I think it's somewhere in there. It's about 2,500 years ago, I believe. Ishtar Gate. This is in Iraq today, Babylon. So this is the Ishtar Gate. And again, we have the feminine element of water present in the blue. And we do have the two pillars, of course, on either side of the entrance. So here's actually a early trinity as well. There's also the masculine element to be seen in there as well through the gate. You'll have to take a look at this, or maybe maybe you have some comments on the Ishtar Gate or know some more about it. There's been some people on here that know a little bit more about biblical stuff. And where, some of the kings fit in and stuff like that. So if you have any of that kind of information, please chime in with that and bring that in. That would be very nice. Thank you for tuning into this presentation, and I look forward to talking to you all again very soon. And I'm happy to keep the content coming. Thank you very much, guys. Be well.